What is the best acoustic pickup? This is a question that a lot of people have asked over the years as they've been trying to improve their amplified live tone. And I'm in a unique position because I've tried a ton of different pickups, maybe somewhere between 12 or 15 in the last couple years, and I've recorded all of them. So in this video, you're gonna get a chance to listen to them. And also I wanna share some of my own feedback, the pros and cons after having used them for months. Truthfully, the answer to the question, the title of this video, is that there's no one answer. Depending on your playing style and your situation that you're in, there might be a few different options that might be worth checking out. If you hear something you like, know that I've done full demos on all of these pickups. That's where I'm grabbing these videos from. You can find the full demo at the links in the description. There's also links to purchase if you feel like doing that. The commission will just go to support this type of video that I've been doing on this channel for years and years. As always, the timestamps are in the description if you feel like skipping around. I do want to honor your time. This could be a long video, potentially. There's a lot of different pickups within the 4 subgroups that I'm going to mention, but let's start right there. So the first type of pickup I want to talk about is an Undersaddle Piezo. This is probably the most common one that's out there. If you buy a guitar with the pickup already installed, this is what it's going to have probably 95% of the time. Then second group, we have a piezo contact mic, a piezo transducer that reads the vibrations of the top of the instrument. The third type of pickup is going to be a built-in microphone. It could be dynamic or a condenser. I'll talk about that later. And then lastly, a magnetic pickup. You should know that magnetic pickups do not work on nylon string guitars, so just keep that in mind as we go. So let's talk about undersaddle piezos. Like I mentioned earlier, the most common type of pickup out there and probably also the most hated. I really despise undersaddle piezos. I try and talk anyone out of them that's listening. The pros are that it can be used in a very loud environment without feedback. You're still going to want to use a feedback blocker if you're on a ridiculously loud stage or something, you know, a sound hole cover. And the other pro would be that in a very dense band mix, it does have the information needed to cut through and know that it's an acoustic guitar where some of these other pickups can sound very warm and full, but in a full band mix can't really cut as much as an undersaddle. Now, cons. Number one, and I don't know anyone that would argue this, is that undersaddle piezos just straight up don't sound good. I've never heard one that I really thought represented what an acoustic guitar should sound like. And number two, it's disconnecting that very essential contact point between the saddle and the rest of the instrument. I do have a video on this that I'll link in the description. The sound of a guitar with that interruption. You know, you have the saddle, the bone saddle, and then the piezo contact, and then the bridge. That is a very important connection there. That's transferring the vibrations of the strings to the top of the instrument, which is then amplifying it out. So in that video, we had listened to a guitar before and after I installed an undersaddle piezo. Undersaddle piezos can be very cheap to produce. You are going to want to use them with a preamp. So if you get a very cheap passive one, that's just going to be the piezo wired to a cable and then the output jack, just right there, that's it. The slightly more expensive ones, we'll get a chance to listen to the Martin Gold Thinline Plus in a second, which is what I had in my HD28 for a year or two. That'll take a 9-volt battery. You might be able to find some with smaller batteries as well. You're going to want to use a preamp. So if you get one of those cheaper passive ones, maybe consider something like the Red Eye preamp that I have. I love that. It really helps amplify the signal, take down the impedance a lot, and warm it up just a little bit. So let's take a listen to, in my opinion, what is the best of the undersaddle piezos. Still sounds like what it does. It's the Martin Gold Thinline Plus, which is actually made by Fishman and branded Martin. We're going to move on to piezo contact pickups. These are still piezo pickups, but instead of reading the vibrations of that little piece of bone or plastic of the saddle, it's actually reading the vibrations of the top of the instruments. So a number of pros here. Number one, they're pretty much always passive, so you're going to want to use an external preamp. They're very unobtrusive. They don't affect the tone of the instrument at all, right? You're not weighing down the top of the instrument. They actually fit to the underside of the bridge, so there's no added extra weight really at all. They're not affecting the tone in that it's not disconnecting that contact point between the saddle and the top of the instrument. And lastly, the tone. I just think they sound a little bit more authentic than an undersaddle piezo does. Now, for the cons, the big con is that they can be prone to feedback. So if you're on a very loud stage, this is not going to be the pickup for you. To look at a few of the different options we have under this category, probably the most popular one is the K&K Pure Mini. I've had that in my Martin for about 2 years now. I've been really happy with it. It's still one of my favorite pickups. Let's take a listen. Now, some people might say that sounds bright as an acoustic guitar should. Some people say that it sounds a little brittle and it's lacking the low end that they want. There is another option. I have the JourneyTek, basically the same type of pickup, the JourneyTek version in my Eastman E20OM, which is a 000 size guitar. Again, it's a different instrument. It's going to have a little bit of a different sound, but this pickup is just a little bit warmer than the K&K, and the plus is that it's actually a little bit cheaper as well. Let's take a listen to one more version of a contact piezo. This is the Klingon pickup. So what this is basically a solution for someone that doesn't want to have any permanent installation on their instrument. It works on exactly the same principle, except the way it attaches to your instrument is that we actually have a rare earth magnet, a very strong magnet. You're going to attach to the inside of your guitar with putty. Anyone can do that. It's simple. And then this pickup is just, you stick it on with a magnet. It won't hurt the finish of the instrument or anything. It sounds decent. It's a little bit more prone to feedback than the other ones, but it's even cheaper, non-permanent, and it has a little volume control on there as well. Keep in mind, with all those passive pickups, you're going to want to use a preamp like I mentioned earlier. You need one to amplify the signal and also to take the impedance down to a reasonable level before you send it to other guitar pedals if you're using that, or before you send it via XLR to the front of house. As we move through this video, I'd love to hear from you if you have any thoughts on what the best sounding pickup out of all these options are, and also depending on your specific situation, what is the most practical pickup? What is going to make sense for you? And additionally, if there's any questions you have that I haven't answered, just leave them in the comments. I'm pretty good at getting back to people. Moving into part 3, we're going to be discussing a few built-in microphones. So these are microphones that you can attach to your instrument either externally or internally, permanently, or just as an impermanent fixture. They can be useful in a myriad of different situations, though you should know the big con is that they're very prone to feedback, even more so than contact mics are. This is to be expected. They're literal microphones, so you're going to want to be on a very quiet stage or removed from any other sort of amplification. I use these a lot when I'm playing in musical pits where everything is just plugged in direct. This is a great way to get a very authentic acoustic guitar tone. So the pros, obviously, is that it sounds really good. It's a microphone. It's going to replicate the sound of your instrument. The cons are that it can be expensive to a degree. There's different options out there I'll discuss. And the other con, like I mentioned, is just it's very prone to feedback. One microphone that I really like, which is not too expensive, is the Myers pickup. So this is one that you can attach in a variety of different ways. You can use it with a lot of different instruments. I've actually got it on my banjo right now. That's going to be out of focus, huh? but I've been using that one forever and I've been really happy. It's actually a dynamic microphone and it's omnidirectional. So omnidirectional, picks up from all sides. It gets a really natural sound. It's not as prone to feedback as you would think an omnidirectional mic would be, in that basically because it's dynamic, so it's not as sensitive as a condenser is. It sounds very natural. It's got a windscreen you can include on it. It's a built-in preamp, and it outputs a relatively high impedance, unbalanced signal similar to what an electric guitar or another acoustic guitar pickup would output. The preamp also has a volume control on it, and like I said, you could use it amongst a bunch of different instruments. It's like a very non-permanent installation. If you use this one inside your guitar, it can sound a little bit boxy, so in my opinion, it sounds best on the outside. Let's take a listen to that. Another great option in a higher price tier is the Cloudvocal iSolo wireless kit. This is a combo kit. I recently did a video on this one where it's combining a wireless design with the microphone. There's some EQ, some wet effects built in. So for the person that just needs a pure acoustic guitar tone, maybe they want to do a little bit of their own EQing. The EQ bands are set up really well to work with acoustic guitar. Maybe they want to add in a little bit of reverb. This is just a really nice, compact way to get a great acoustic guitar sound. Now, an honorable mention that I haven't personally tried, but I've heard mixed reviews on. I know some people swear by this entirely, and a lot of people say it was not at all what it was hyped up to be, which is why I haven't really tried it, is the LR Baggs Anthem. That is some sort of combined piezo and microphone system. And this leads me into part 4. So we're getting into magnetic pickups. The one that I want to talk about is the Fishman Rare Earth blend. So you can get the Rare Earth by itself as a simple magnetic pickup, or you can get it combined with a microphone. With a lot of these pickups, it makes sense to combine a microphone with a piezo so that you have the best of both worlds, depending on what environment. You know, in a quiet situation, you'll want to use mostly the mic. In a much louder situation, you might use only the pickup, or in the middle, some sort of combination that works out. So getting into magnetic pickups. They sound different than piezos in a good way and also in a not so good way. If you're going for a very stereotypical, like bright, strummy acoustic guitar sound, magnetic pickups aren't always going to be what you want. If you're a lead player, if you're playing a lot of complicated lines and you need some sustain, a magnetic pickup is a great way to do that. It's kind of bridging acoustic guitars and electric guitars. All right, so the pros and the cons. The pro of a magnetic pickup would be that it sounds great, in my opinion, for what I use it for. Some people might say it sounds a little dark. Magnetic pickup is also very feedback resistant. And third, they can be very inexpensive. I'll talk about 2 options later. The cons would be that I've never seen a magnetic pickup that does not mount to the sound hole of the instrument. So you're severely dampening the vibrations of the top of the instrument. With these magnetic pickups, they're almost always designed with the idea that you put them on the instrument when you need to use it and take them off when you're not going to use it. So you can almost negate that con if you want to. Another con, and this is the same thing I mentioned as a pro, if you're someone that digs in hard and likes a nice, bright acoustic guitar tone, a magnetic pickup might not be for you. There's many different options out there. You'll want to explore a few of them. The ones that I've tried, I've liked. At the extreme low price point, we have the Same Word Duncan Woody, I think they call it. And they have a couple different versions if you want to be able to raise or lower pull pieces for each string. That one's non-permanent, like I mentioned, so that one could sit around like $50 maybe. And then getting more expensive, we have something like the Fishman Rare Earth or the Rare Earth mic blend, which is the one that I ended up with. And I'll mention this now at the end of the video. That one is my favorite pickup by far. That's the one that I'll use every single time if I need a really great amplified acoustic tone. my Martin, I want to keep the K&K Pure Mini in there because that's a guitar that I use primarily for recording and just playing in my house when I want to sit down with an acoustic. It's a beautiful sounding instrument, and I don't want to risk it on a stage. I don't want to risk it where I have a pickup attached to the sound hole, and someone might step on the cable if it's installed non-permanently. And I also don't want to install it permanently so that it would dampen the vibrations. So in other words, my HD28 is my personal at-home guitar or for recording. It sounds beautiful. It's an HD28. And then I have my Eastman, a slightly smaller guitar that I keep much lighter strings on that I've outfitted with the Fishman pickup to be amplified. So there it is, my thoughts on pretty much all the different pickups that I've tried out over the years. I'd love to know what you thought, as I mentioned earlier. What is the one that sounds the best to you, and what is the one that you think realistically is going to be the practical solution? Again, if you want to check out any of these, links are in the description. I will get a small commission if you purchase through any of those, and that just goes to support the work that I do here on this channel. If you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. Hit the like button, subscribe, all that stuff. I do have a playlist of gear for the acoustic guitarist you can check out. It's just all geared towards helping you find the right equipment to get the best amplified acoustic tone. Anyway, take care, thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.